Everyone has their own reading experience. My reading experience could reflect my growth process. From simple to complex, from childish to mature, I chose different books when I was in different age. I use the following 10 books as a representation as my different periods of reading. The Snow White. Although now my parents and I remember what was my first reading, I still have a strong memory that the Snow White left a deep impression on me before I was in kindergarten. My first Snow White only contains few words but a mass of pictures. The Snow White's beautiful pictures and fascinating story made me have a great interest in books, especially fairy tales. This book is the reason why I fell in love with imaginary story. 1001 Nights. 1001 Nights is important to me because it let me realize words can narrate stories better than pictures do. During that time, my mother started requiring me reading books with more characters. Because I didn't know many Chinese characters, reading became challenging and boring for me. But everything changed since I have read 1001 Nights. This book made me intrigued in books with more words. Alice in Wonderland. Since I like imaginary stories, Alice in Wonderland was on my book list too. This book showed me what is culture and what is culture difference. The author of this book is a British writer, so that I was hardly catch up with his ideas. What is a croaker? Why I never heard those children's books that Alice sang in the book. After hearing my mother's explanation, I understood that people in different countries have different lives. Piplu. Piplu series are one of the most important books for me. When I was in second grade in elementary school, my father recommended me Piplu. Since then, I found myself loving this series. It told me that the imagination is the most important thing in the world. It told me to cherish nature and animals. It told me so many things that still have influence on me. Dollar Land. Dollar Land, which was my first comic book, is important to me because it made me have my first dream of my life, to be a cartoonist. After reading the whole series of Piplu so many times, I kind of wanted to get rid of it, so that I chose comics. Although both of my parents disapproved me of reading meaningless comic books, I read them anyway. This book inspired my skill and style in drawing so much and also set a life goal for me. One afternoon, I was reading comics secretly. Then my mother rushed into my room with my exam paper. "See what you got on writing," she yelled at me. "No more comic books for you from now on." After that, she threw all my comics and all my storybooks. The only allowed books are the books that will be tested on the exam, such as Warriors of Fate, one of the 4 major Chinese classical novels. Even though I was forced to read Warriors of Fate, this book was still matter to me, since it let me slightly understand what is a real literature and what is a valuable book indeed. There was no disadvantage for me to read a book that was alive for hundreds of years. Never Flowers in Our Dream. Actually, Never Flowers in Our Dream told me nothing but don't have relationship or you will heartbreak and suffer. This book was a negative example that told me don't waste any time on romantic novels. But I couldn't live without these trashy novels. Otherwise, middle school life would drive me crazy. As I used to be obsessed in comics, I was obsessed in novels during night time. Life of Pi. After I have studied in America for a year, I had more time, which means I can read more books. Life of Pi became my favorite novel so far. Comparing to the movie, I like the book more. This book not only told me how to train a tiger and survive in the ocean, but also showed me that the strong willpower that a human could own, and the spiritual support that faith could provide. The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tullian. This book is a fairy tale for children, but I read it. This book was my first English edition book. What this fairy tale has taught me was more than the book itself. I was too old for fairy tales, so that I didn't need this book to tell me that we should love people. What I learned was don't give up and you will succeed. It spent me so much effort and time on reading foreign language, and I almost gave it up. But I finally finished it, and I could read more English edition books. Culture Journey. Culture Journey could be a right start for my new literature journey. This book taught me the meaning of literature and the meaning of book. Since I have finished the book, I was no longer reading trashy novels but focused on real literature because there are the books that can spread ideas and are rich in connotations.